Kams audio son. You burn the swine when no want you shine. The tree of life, them no want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Kams, I say them heart no kind. BUXTON massive. Kidaki. Read that.
Never joke. Never joke. Never joke. Oh, money never, money never, money never, money never, money never, money. Now know what you conniving, money. Money never, money never, money, money never, money, money. You can keep your conniving, money. When you been a corrupt in a bill, tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill, tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money never, money never, money, money never, money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me work for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This all the money that me work for. I said money neighbor, money neighbor, money, money neighbor, money, money. Now I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph.
Well, I invoke the WPA's position that we are engaging in civil disobedience and non-cooperation with the government, and on that grounds I refuse to participate in the interview. The question in struggle, is not personal. Whatever sacrifice as a political activist or a political leader you have to make for your people, you have to make it.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Kams TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting aisle money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see. Sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, with Jah has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, fooling the people. You promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow Port People Governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
Looking for a unique gift idea for the holidays? Then come down to Makeda's at 146 Albert Street. We have gift ideas for everyone, from festive African fabric, accessories, African-inspired outfits, unique African-inspired toys, books, African house decor, and so much more. Make this holiday special with a gift from Makeda's, where you can celebrate the African way.
Are you planning your next visit to Oil Ridge, Guyana, South America? Well, let's accommodate you at Varon's Cheerful Country Manor. With free secured on-premises parking, our beautiful vacation air-conditioned home offers 3 beds, 2 bathrooms, a spacious kitchen, and all modern amenities. Located at Tushen, on the eastern bank of the mighty Essequibo and the western coast of Demerara, Varon's Cheerful Country Manor is just a stone throw from the ocean. Make that reservation now on Airbnb and VRBO. For contact, call us on 516-770-3053 or 592-685-3521. Make Varon's Cheerful Country Manor your home away from home.
You put in a 12-cent meatball, you was on a lice. I going to give you a word of advice. Take your meat out of my rice.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Remvelt Market Meat section. Call us on 609-2049. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop brings you the best in fresh cut meats and lots more. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, are you morning? Are you trying to get a new rhythm to the morning, neighbor, morning? Oh, what's up? It's 28 minutes to 8 o'clock. Guyanese, welcome to Guyana, Aquaba, right? That's where the so welcome to what after the ancestors were freed or got their freedom from the plantations. I hope it was a good thing there. I didn't go, I couldn't follow it and so on and so forth. I got tired of it. I always get the people on that. Today I know you're supposed to be meeting Accra and whatever else. I'll get that itinerary before the program is finished. And definitely on Thursday he's coming to Buxton. Right? Thursday he's coming to Buxton. He's going to be touring around Buxton. He's coming to Club Twilight. We're going to go for lunch at Club Twilight. And anybody who needs autographs, you can come on down to Club Twilight. Maybe between the hours of 3 thereabout. Yeah, you can come down to Club Twilight and see if you can catch up with the crew. Get yourself an autograph, get yourself, share some thoughts with him, and so on and so forth. Good. So I welcome you all on Thursday if you want to come to Club Twilight to meet with the brother, the Ghanaian brother. I know for a fact that we in Buxton, we are fortunate, we are gifted, we are blessed. Because years ago we had a relationship with a Ghanaian. Was he Ghanaian? Oh, he was Nigerian. That was Nigerian. Dr. Kweku. The eye specialist who operated from the Georgetown Hospital at that time. He was the head of ophthalmology, I think, at that time, at Georgetown Hospital. And then he opened his own optical. I can't remember, but he was my eye doctor until he died. Yeah, so Buxtonians had that relationship with him. We used to come, sometimes every month, twice a month, sometimes he comes and we have that conversation at what we used to call a lessons place. Right? We used to talk them on. And so we learned about all the similarities in dishes and cultural practices and words and so on and so forth that they use compared to what we use. And so we learned a lot from that relationship. I'm hoping that the kind of relationship would develop with Wodumaya among Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese. It is always good, I think, to connect with your roots. All of us can't be Ghanaians, I know that for a fact. All of us can't be Nigerians and so on. But we all are descendants of the motherland. And so we need to make those connections, and in time we can explore them, and so see where it leads. Right? So I hope you guys will, follow his tour of Guyana. I understand he should be here for a week or 3 days, something to the extent. Good. But definitely, Kams TV is going to try to bring you, even if it is clips, on what has been happening as easier. Definitely Thursday, we expect him at Club Twilight. And we'll take it from there. But how y'all been? How was yesterday? What happened yesterday? I made some money yesterday. Yesterday was Monday, no? Mondays are made for champions. Any champions won another championship? You won the championship against the cost of living. What were you able to achieve yesterday? Made some money? Got a new job? Got a promotion? What did you achieve yesterday? You recognize the rains are threatening, right? The rains are indicating that, hey, you will soon come. So I hope you ain't behaving like Karen Crow and wait till rain fall for belows or moving somebody else, right? I hope you're making the necessary preparations for the rainy season. Have you dug those drains around your home? Because a lot of people believe that, hey, they don't have to do anything in preparation for the rains. Only the state and the local government authorities have to do. No. The state and the local government authorities are responsible for the main drainage. You are responsible for your internal drainages. So ensure you clean up and weed up them drains that you're responsible for in your yard or close to your yard, on the boundaries of your yard. Clean them. So you will aid the swiftness with which water will run off when it really begins to rain. You know, December month, I've become accustomed to December month being a rainy one. And many of us celebrate Christmas in flooded conditions, or wet conditions, let me say. So don't be caught napping. Don't be caught off guard. Ensure you make the necessary preparations so that you can have better than wet Christmas, right? So do that. Please turn up your own device. My device is loud enough. I've turned it up loud enough. I ain't able to shout. What happened? Y'all ain't tired people shouting? The Guyanese population is going deaf. We listen to so much boom, boom, boom in our ears. So much boom in our ears that when people whisper, we feel that they're not doing good enough. I think my volume meter is reading good enough. Usually you don't need more than 15 decibels. 15 decibels, when you're outputting 15 decibels, you are outputting good enough quality audio. Anything above 15 decibels usually becomes noise as an output. Right? At least that is what they taught me when I was doing sound. Nevertheless, we gaffing. We saying, listen, yeah, make preparations to the rainy season. Don't be caught with your caught napping with your pants down. I think this is the saying now. Good? And so you make those preparations. Remember, I know a lot of you are preparing for the Christmas season. This is the time to be prudent. I say don't buy nothing, you know. I say be conservative in your buying, your purchasing. I always tell you, I've been telling you for the last 3 years. Them curtains that you used 5 years ago, use them back now. Nobody ain't gonna recognize them. Instead of get them in a barrel or a pack away somewhere taking up space, use them now. Nobody ain't gonna recognize them. Take your last year curtain and send them to your nieces in Borbies. If possible, they could send theirs to you in Buxton or Linden. Right? So Borbisians know the nieces used last year, but Buxtonians didn't know. So if the Borbies curtains come to Buxton, they're new for you. Right? And if Buxton Courting goes to Borbies, then you for Borbies. I'm just suggesting a way in which you can save money. How much your semester I'm mean? I wonder if his deed is still your wife. Well, I know. That's a one line I know extend. I've heard stories of men slicing fish before they leave home. I'm not that type. Right? I try to give good financial advice. It's up to people to listen, you know. Good? Y'all can judge me if y'all want to, but it's up to people to listen. So this morning I want to talk to us about corruption. The government facilitating corruption. But before we do that, let me ask you something. Which head of our household will leave his home to visit a neighbor's home when there is a serious crisis affecting his home? If you have a serious crisis at home, the lives, the well-being of your children are threatened, according to your own assessment, would you accept an invitation or honor an invitation to go visit a friend or even another relative some distance away? Will you? I would want to assume the answer is no. And so what I'm asking myself now is, I perhaps know, because I always tell y'all the man artistic and he's stupid and he backward and he dunce and he ignorant, and according to David Isaac, he is a little shut-tail boy. Which serious president of a country will dare leave his seat of presidency, his country, and go on a visit to another country when crisis looms in his own country? Previously I would thought none, but now I know that there is at least one. Irfan Ali has left the country. He's gone on some, I don't know if it's on official or official tour, business. But he will return to Guyana on the 2nd of December. He's leaving this country when a referendum to decide whether or not the Venezuelan government, Maduro, should annex 2/3 of Guyana, the Essequibo, is just a few days away. Then is when he has chosen to leave this country. And he will come back the day before the referendum. Any serious president or any serious leader, even a head of a home, would have stayed home in this time leading up to what some may call the climax of this situation. So that he can marshal his troops in preparation for what might come. But no, the dunce man the dunce man, roll out a hay and see coming back the second. I don't know what arrangements, and I don't care what arrangements are in place to marshal the troops in preparation for what may come the third or thereafter. What I'm quite concerned about is that, well, I'm concerned, what I'm observing, taking note of, is that you got a president that once again has shown to me that the PPP and the leadership of the PPP ain't no nothing but patriotism and nationalism and good governance and service to the people of Guyana. They are just there for the ride and all that they can collect along the way while riding. And so I ask you the question again, why must I care? Why must I be concerned if the Venezuelans decided they're coming for Essequibo? When the people who have the authority, the people who have the responsibility, by virtue of the fact that they are the leaders of government, don't appear to give a damn. Don't appear to give a damn. Why should I give a damn? Then it's like, well, why should I give a damn? I'm asking that question. Give me a break. Yesterday morning, Coffee said we should be, by now we should have already bought some, what, B-3 bombers or something? And other military artillery. I'm telling anybody who comes to me with that nonsense, including Coffee, by now Guyanese should have had a better quality of life. People before military hardware. I say that, and I will stand by that. People before military hardware. By now, Guyanese should have been getting a cash grant. If not to the value of $5,000 yearly, maybe $2,500 yearly. Tell me that and I will agree with you. By now, Guyanese should have been getting a cash grant. I listened to a tape by Maduro last evening, and Maduro was saying the government doesn't have the interest of the people at heart. All the oil pumping one drop don't reach Guyanese. Correct, Maduro. The government doesn't have the interest of the people at heart. They got them living in poverty. Correct, Maduro. I say already, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And if Maduro is pointing out the weaknesses and failures of the PPP administration, thank you for your support, Maduro. Guyanese must call it and see it for what it is. This is a man who has been the head of an oil-producing state. So he must know what the possibilities are with oil. He's saying, I don't see the Guyanese government showing the citizens any of those possibilities. Correct again. Am I an anti-nationalist for saying that? Certainly not. Guyanese to the bone. Guyanese to the bone, but I will maintain that the problem in this country is not the Venezuelans, it's the PPP. They need to be banished from political office. Because they're not doing any good for us. In fact, they're putting us daily into deeper and deeper troubled waters. Right? Daily they're putting us deeper and deeper into troubled waters. So let's keep that in mind. On the lane said coffee is right. I want you to eat military hardware. Just the other day you were you were bawling that then giving NIS pensioners increase. The money that they will pay for B3 bomber can give pensioners lots of increase and pay them for several years. So you decide, you want to eat a B3 bomber? I want a better quality of life. And that is one of the things people don't even realize happening, you know. But this problem that the PPP is creating. I know they're talking about the U.S. military personnel and so on coming, security personnel and so on coming in this week to discuss the issues and whatever. The PPP has placed us in a situation where our earnings from oil will be spent on military hardware and quote-unquote protective services from states like the United States of America. And so you're going to find very soon a big defense budget, if I can call it that. A budget where most of your money is going to defense. Because one of the first things the US will encourage them to do is do just what coffee doing. Sometimes I wonder if coffee is an agent of the US. Buy military hardware. Y'all need to buy supersonic missiles. Y'all need to buy what they call them? Scatterer. Right? Y'all need to buy this, y'all need to buy that. Even on credit we can sell y'all because y'all got enough oil producing to pay for it. And so instead of the money going to benefit the Guyanese people, instead of the money helping Guyanese people to improve on their quality of lives, by raising their income and so on, what you will find is a whole lot of that money is going to be spent on defense hardware to defend what God knows I don't. To defend what I don't know. Only Vanessa Yanet is asking, so why are you saying that? Why am I saying what? I explain why I say everything I say. You want to know why I say I don't care? I don't explain though. The politicians don't care. You want another reason why I don't care? People like me really don't get no benefit out of Essequibo. We have already established that. What else you want to know? Another reason why I don't care? Indo-Guyanese dominate Guyana. I'm a minority. I ain't got nothing to lose. I don't care. One other reason, when the PPP government decides that they are serious about uniting the Guyanese people, then I don't care. Up until now, I live opposite Annandale and 90% of the streets are barred. Buxtonians can't walk through them. What am I fighting for? A country that is divided and the policies are against the well-being of me and my people? Y'all talk to me. That's why I don't care. Right? So you got it in context now in case you didn't get it in context. That is that well. I'm concerned about my country. I don't care three hoots about Venezuela. Venezuelans have that determination to make. When a Guyanese is going to make their determinations. Right? That's my unpopular opinion. I'm entitled to it, and I will stick with it. But let's talk about corruption, right? Because even in military spending, there'll be lots of corruption. There will be lots of corruption. Because military spending is big money. War is money, you know. War is money. War fuels the American economy. And so all the military contractors and so on that Guyana going to find themselves connected to, or all the military contractors that are going to line up at the doors of Guyana, mercenaries included, got to negotiate with somebody. And that somebody who's going to be negotiating will also be negotiating their cut. And that's the reality. So corruption is likely to increase as war spending increases. And that will take more money from the National Treasury, from the Consolidated Fund, from the Natural Resources Fund. It will take more money that will not be coming to the benefit of the people. Will not be coming to the benefit of the people. So again, there's another reason. Them fat boys going to get fatter. The ordinary citizens getting nothing. But the ordinary citizens are encouraged to carry the stress, the burden. The psychological strain. Of Venezuela-Guyana border controversy. While those who are being paid and paying themselves millions of Guyanese dollars to take that responsibility. Got time to fly around the world. I said they're going to come back the day before. What is this thing with the sky? Armageddon. Yeah, right? You hear me? Imagine your father left you to face the preparation of Armageddon. And then beat out to come back the day before Armageddon. What is that story, man? Yeah. But I'm talking about government corruption. You see, a lot of us, when we look for corruption, we just look for it in the stark open. It abounds, it is all over. But y'all don't see it. Them pills were the Georgetown Hospital just acquire, Ministry of Health just acquire $10 for one. When the actual price is $2. I don't see that. Right? Georgetown is a Guyana asked for war. We are on the threat and we can't lay down and play dead. Guyana created a war. The PPP created a war. Jack the other make a nasty, dirty, stinking deal that rile up the neighbor. That riled up their neighbor. And going back to the Granger presidency, it's the same thing Granger said, by me getting involved with this thing, I don't want no military base in this country. I ain't getting y'all no listening station. Because I want to live at peace with my neighbor. And so Granger didn't got no war. There was no war with the Venezuelans. The dispute is being dealt with in the ICJ now. The court. But it's little dirty shut tail by the old PPP. Think that they're smarter than a third grader. Think that they're smarter than an ex-military president. They say, don't worry, man, we're going to get what I want. And so has riled up the Venezuelans. Dennis, I'm not in the business of prostitution, but you're getting personal. Don't let me go down the road. But I'm sure a lot of politicians are happy for those Venezuelan prostitutes, as you call them. Right? Yeah, Georgetown, I like my simplistic argument. Because I'm dealing with a simplistic government. That's the thing, we look for sophisticated things. And we miss the simple things, which will shine light. Right? On what is happening in this country. I'm sure Jack Dio thought it was a simplistic thing to give Venezuela, according to him, a passage, a concession. Since the maritime border, and I heard him say it, I can find the tape again. He was speaking, he was addressing a meeting, I think, in Essequibo. And he was explaining that he considered giving the Venezuelans this passage to access the Atlantic because the maritime border has not yet been determined. And at some point in time, they will have to come to the point of determining the maritime border. The maritime border ain't indeterminate, but you giving maritime access through your country. In short, you are opening up the way for a claim to that same passage as constituting border or owned territory because you're giving it up. But that's simplistic. Right, Georgetown? That's very simplistic. I ain't doctor this, no doctor that, but some of y'all think that I don't understand what y'all say. Because y'all doctor this and doctor that, and y'all got enough degrees. Y'all got more degrees than the thermometer and the compass. But take your degrees and analyze my simplistic discourses and see how deep they go. Jack Gale thought was a simple thing, man. We could settle this issue. Let me just give them a passage through the Atlantic. Through the Atlantic. We ain't settled the maritime border yet. If you give your neighbor a walk path through your yard and they become accustomed to it, for 10, 20, 30 years, they could eventually claim it is their own. They've been occupying it beneficially. They might not be ungrateful enough to fight you for it. But in many instances, I dare say the fight they could win. But they're simplistic too. Right? So we're talking about corruption. Recently in the news, we have heard a lot of talk about corruption at the Ministry of Housing. More than a year ago, or at least a year ago, I told you about corruption at the Ministry of Housing. Y'all ain't paying attention. At the time, it was $1 million bribe to get a plot of land in the middle income housing scheme. You give $1 million to change your allocation from Tom Jones to you. And you pay the cost of the land to housing and you get a plot of land. That was going on for quite a while. As a matter of fact, I see statements going back into previous PPP governments of corruption when it comes to land distribution. Right? When it comes to land distribution. But nobody pays attention until it affects them. Nobody pays attention until it affects them. So we got a whole big shouting now, oh God, a whole long list of people pointing out how they were scammed by scammers at the Ministry of Housing. And we had Susan Rodriguez coming out, and Susan Rodriguez had this to say. Investigation launched. Housing Ministry employee among several arrested. That's from the newsroom. Several persons arrested in relation to housing scams. That's from Kaicho News. Right? 11 hours ago, only one person arrested in Housing Ministry land distribution scam. Good? I want to read for you a quote or two from what Susan Rodriguez says or said about this issue at housing. Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, in a statement on Friday said several persons were arrested as part of a long-running probe into corrupt land transactions. The newsroom understands that one of the persons arrested is an employee. Over the last few days on social media, there has been an avalanche of allegations leveled against employees of the ministry in relation to corrupt transactions. From the outset, the tenor of the post immediately suggested that they would not end until the political heads of the ministry were linked in some way to the allegations. Right? This is the first statement I'm reading from Susan here, right? Over the last few days, right? Yesterday, a member of my secretariat, Narish Sugrim, was implicated in these social media posts. His photo was published along with the allegation that he has been receiving bribes in exchange for land. Not a shred of evidence was provided. Yet he was tried and convicted in the court of public opinion. Unbeknown to the public, on my instruction, Mr. Sugrim has been assisting the Guyana Police Force in an investigation to uncover solid evidence against staff members or outsiders who were suspected of conducting illegal transactions. Today's efforts have led to the arrest of several persons. This will no doubt assist the police to further their investigations. Unfortunately, the reckless and vindictive postings on social media, which prove nothing, has compromised months of tedious investigative work, which could have potentially led to more arrests. I've always maintained that I am committed to rooting out corruption. In this regard, strident steps were taken to work with the police to address this wherever it exists in the ministry. Regrettably, members of the public continue to encourage the practice of offering bribes and willingly participate in these illegal transactions. When they lose their money without receiving the favors they expected, they take to social media to complain instead of going to the police. There's little or nothing we can do with social media postings that bear no evidence. Narish Sugrim is a patriotic, hard-working and diligent public servant who did not deserve to be defamed. I've advised him to take private legal action in this regard. It is my hope that this embarrassment does not discourage him and other honest public servants who do not engage in such illegalities. Eliminating corruption from a ministry that distributes land is a near impossible task, but we can reduce it significantly with help from law-abiding citizens. We cannot do it alone. I am therefore imploring the public to desist from participating in bribery. If you have any information or evidence that can lead to the arrest and conviction of staff members or anyone who claims to have contacts in the ministry that can assist with land allocation in exchange for money, please report it to the police or come to my office and I will contact the police to facilitate a full investigation. Responding to social media posts that are engineered to create confusion and scandalize my reputation would be a colossal waste of my time. My only interest is in exposing the truth and ensuring people face consequences for corruption. The resolve of the ministry to discharge its mandate of serving the needs of Guyanese public remains unshaken. That is Susan Rodriguez's statement on what was happening or is happening at the ministry. And I got some things to say to you, Susan. Old people say they are polar. They are polar, whatever that is, the upholder, they are polar. It's worse than the thief. It's worse than the thief. And this government is the upholder of corruption in this country. The government is the upholder, the government is the facilitator of corruption in this country. For corruption to thrive, there must be an environment that facilitates corruption. If public servants are paid enough, we could reduce corruption. Because they will consider what they stand to lose should they be caught in an act of corruption compared to what they will gain from the act of corruption. A public servant, a clerk, who is responsible on a daily basis for conducting transactions that is worth millions or billions of dollars, will obviously be tempted, and in many instances will heed to those temptations. When somebody offers them $1 million compared to the $85,000 a month that they're getting. Put yourself in my place, as the song says, only for a day. See if you could stand this loneliness I feel inside. See if you could stand the challenges that those public servants face. Earning $85,000 or $120,000, $600 US a month. And somebody offers them in one day $5,000 US. How many months do they have to work to make $5,000 US? And there's only one offer, you know. Think about that. Think about how many of those offers they get on a monthly basis. Think about why it is possible for a low-level worker in the public ministry that is responsible for tenders to buy house lot in prime areas of Georgetown for multi-million dollars. Think about what makes it possible. You think it's because of the salary of maybe $1,500 US that he gets a month? No. It is because of the several offers of bribery from contractors and how those offers add up when he accepts them. So, until government, first and foremost, is prepared to pay their employees fair and just wages and salaries, you will always be confronted with this issue of bribery and corruption. Until government is prepared to let the law enforcement agencies do their work and do it diligently without interference, you will always be faced with these corrupt practices. Because being a friend of a friend could call a friend and get a charge dropped for a friend who was involved in corruption, then the whole system is corrupt. Government is facilitating that. When systems don't function, people pay bribes to get what they want. I saw a video a few mornings ago, it was a Sunday morning, Sunday gone, of a Guyanese now living in the US. And she was saying that she prefers to suffer in the US than come back home because of the ease of doing business that she has experienced. For example, she says, to get her marriage certificate in Guyana, it took her several years. Her marriage certificate. And she only got it when she agreed to pay somebody $20,000. She got it in less than 24 hours. The government oversees a system that is inefficient in issuing important documents to citizens. You want a birth certificate? Wait for 3 and 4 years. People need their birth certificates to do all the business. To get ID card, to get driver's license, to get this, to get that, and so they will pay somebody to fast track the system because they can't afford to wait 1 and 2 and 3 years. Some people can't even afford to wait a month. And so long as the system is inefficient, bribes will pay. And so long as the public servants who are responsible for managing these systems are inadequately compensated, bribes will be accepted. It's all well and good for Susan Rodriguez to preach from the hilltop and say citizens must stop offering bribes. Susan doesn't have to suffer the indignity of being evicted from a home because the landlord wants it to rent to somebody for more money and has no land to go and construct your own home. Susan doesn't have to face the indignity of living with in-laws and they want you out of their house. They can't stand you. And you applied for a plot of land 20 years ago and you're hoping that every day is your day to get it. Susan doesn't have to face that indignity. Our friends, family, favorite relatives don't have to face that indignity. Because they have been given allocations in the middle income, the low income, the big income, the broad income, all income brackets, they have been given allocations of lands. They have gotten turnkey homes. They have gotten middle income homes. They have gotten land to build their own customized homes, which they in turn are renting to people. So they got sources of passive income. They don't have to face the indignities and the challenges, the sufferation, the frustrations of the ordinary man and woman. And so she can preach from the hilltop. A lot of them in government don't face any of those indignities. They can live in government flats until such time that they have acquired enough through bribery and other means to build their customized homes, $100 million homes. All the ordinary man wants is a plot of land to build a $10, $15, $20 million home that they're going to mortgage to the bank because the salaries don't allow them to do any better. But Susan tells us, don't offer bribes. But they have established, they've created the infrastructure for bribes to be offered and accepted. Because there's no certainty when will we get a plot of land, or when you will get a plot of land. If you are a Guyana Defense Force rank that has been deployed to the Venezuelan-Guyana border right now, we are going to fast-track your application. What percentage of Guyanese who have applied for lands are soldiers and are posted to the Guyana-Venezuelan border? I dare argue 1% or less. What happened to the other 99% of applicants? How will they get a plot of land? They got to wait until the vice president goes into the area because he hear a fact-finding team coming and he want problems with BUXTON, for example. And so, list all those of you who are here and applied for a plot of land, list your name, I'm going to fast-track it for you. How many people in that community who applied for land went to that meeting? I dare argue less than 1%. What happened to the other 99%? The system that the PPP has in place for land distribution aids and abets corruption. And they know it. And they are benefiting from it. If night should turn day, if only somebody should do serious whistleblowing and get the files, you will see how many ministers and their relatives got lands in all kinds of areas in this country, using all kinds of names in this country. And so you'll understand why corruption is necessary for the ordinary man to get what he wants. Yesterday I read of a minister of government and his relatives from the Essequibo. One relative got 5 contracting firms registered to her. 5. All of them in her name. She tendered for contract and got 5 contracts, 1 for each company. Isn't that corruption? Isn't that the government aiding and abetting corruption? Are they going to launch an investigation into that minister and his relative having several companies registered to them and bidding for contracts and being awarded? In a country where corruption is not encouraged, so many companies registered under one person's name would have been a red flag. And an investigation would have been started. Much less or much more if government contracts were awarded to all of those companies registered under one person's name. It's highly improbable. It's statistical magic. There must be insider trading for this one person to come up with the right figures for all of these contracts. But Susan Rodriguez tells us, citizens, don't engage in corrupt practices, don't pay bribes. Tell it to your ministerial friends and buddies. Tell it to your friends, family, and favorites. Maybe your lovers too. Tell it to them. I've not heard of a single minister under this PPP government moved because of corrupt practices or suspected corrupt practices or facilitating corruption. Under the Guyana administration, when Valerie Patterson Adams' name called, that her husband, who was a legitimate contractor, was awarded contracts, I think, to build middle-income homes while she was Minister of Housing. the Granger administration immediately moved her from housing and sent her to agriculture. Have you ever heard of anybody moved? Any permanent secretary moved? Any minister of government moved based on allegations that he or she has been facilitating insider trading and corrupt practices under the PPP? I've not heard of any. So it's two things happening in my mind. Either there is serious cover-up of corruption in the PPP government, or the PPP government is clean like a whistle. Huh? Clean like a whistle. Y'all be the judge. But I'm going to say this, and I'm saying it loudly and clearly. The level of corruption in this country exists because the PPP facilitates it. The sideline dam that is being constructed outside of where I am has been under construction for the past 4 or 5 months. Which road takes 5 and 6 months to build? A simple piece of crappy construction like that, where you just level some land, throw some loam, compact it, blind it off with some cement and sand or whatever, put down BRC and pour ready mixed concrete on it. Which road takes 6 and 7 months to build like that? But this one is going on perhaps 4 or 5 months. You know why? The contractor, a Barbadian contractor, one contracts outside of his region plus contracts in his region, has won so many contracts. One contractor has won so many contracts that he couldn't find time and human resource to consistently work on the construction of the sideline dam road. You know what he did? He subcontracted it to one of his workers. Subcontracted it to one of his workers. Because he got too much. As old people say, he belly full to cry. He now got to vomit. He is now distributing contracts. He's a middleman for contracts. So who's facilitating corruption? And Suzanne got the temerity to preach and lecture Guyanese who are desperate for a house lot, who are desperate to be able to claim a piece of land to build something on for themselves and the next generation. Shame on you, Mr. Madam Minister, shame on you. And shame on your government too. There's so many instances of corruption that can be labeled on this program. But like I'm doing for this week, I'm only whetting the appetites of viewers. They got additional evidence they will share with us. They have their say. The lines are open. Y'all address Susan Roderick Sume and the rest of the PPP when it comes to corruption. Who are the facilitators of corruption in this country? Corruption? When a known PPP representative was accused of sexually inappropriate behavior with students at one of the secondary schools on the East Coast, what did they do? They transferred him to another school so that he could continue the same attitude. Charges were filed. I don't know that charges were heard before the courts. That is corruption. Yes, karaoke time again at Club Twilight. This and every Friday, come on down. Enjoy the good vibes with Singer Man, One Man Band, and Kams Audio. Admission is free. Yes, this and every Friday night, it's karaoke time. Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, BUXTON North. Musical accompaniment by Singer Man, One Man Band, and popular stereo songs, popular DJ, Kams Audio. It's gonna be a movie, man.
I'm a Jamaican boy who's born and raised. Nowadays I'm lost between two shores. LA's fine, but it ain't home. New York is home, but it ain't mine no more.
Another Saturday night that I ain't got nobody. I got some money 'cause I just got paid. Now how I wish I had someone to talk to. I'm in an awful way. Dig this. I got in town a month ago.
The problem we have now is show off. Like the McDonald Group, for instance. I ran the company for 20 years. Nobody knew who was the owner of McDonald. What is disturbing this country now is we put ourselves before our companies. If you want to build a legacy, there's a difference between ventures and enterprise. You build an enterprise. Enterprise transcends to generation upon generation and upon generation. But if you want to build a venture, you just fall off. Many of us in Ghana, we always put ourselves before our companies.
Morning, are you morning? Morning, are you morning? Morning, neighbor. Of Guyanese morning time. It is now 7 hours 28 on the 29th day of November in the year 2023. Welcome to the program. How are you feeling? What's happening in your neck of the woods? How was your yesterday? Did you make money yesterday? What opportunities presented themselves to making money yesterday? What opportunities for making money did you capitalize on? Were you offered a bribe yesterday? Did you accept it? Did you allow anybody to financially induce you? Induce you yesterday? I'd like to know, how was your night? Have you rested and recuperated? Are you sleeping well at nights now? Because I know you live in a society where there's a lot of anxiety about the Venezuelan referendum on annexing Essequibo on the 3rd of December. So have you been resting well, or have you been having sleepless nights? Worrisome nights. What will happen after the 3rd of December? I know a lot of people are worrying about that. How worried are you? Let's talk this morning about a number of things in this society. Let me just call it things that bother me. Lots of things bother me in this society. I just saw a story on a report coming up from the climate people, saying that coastal cities are at risk, and it's a warning to Caribbean countries of rising sea levels. right? I've been hearing this for quite a while. A lot of you might sometimes say, this man is a doubter. A lot of this I've heard for a while. But the very people who are preaching to us and telling us about the impacts of climate change and the potential dangers of climate change are the very people we notice are going to what I call the front line. Of danger. If we really should experience the projected impacts of climate change. How often, how long have you been hearing that the coastline of Guyana is at risk? Because Guyana, I grew up here in Guyana, is 7 feet below sea level. The coastline of Guyana is 7 feet below sea level. And therefore, if the seawater should break away, we will be in deep shambles. But the very people who are telling us of these dangers are the very people, or among the very people, who rush to buy up the lands in front of Plaisance, Parinam area there, when the kleptocratic cabal, the PPP, stole it from the people of Plaisance, misappropriated it from the people of Plaisance. So this thing so bad, and this, the champion of the earth in Jack Dio and the PPP and so on, are aware of such dangers. Why they building mansions in the seashore? Why people are still talking about seafront property as being the most expensive and so on? Why we have people who are coming here, according to some discourses and advertising that I've seen over the last 2-3 years. Big international hotel chains are coming to build their hotels right on the coastline of Guyana. Sometimes I wonder if these things are hoaxes. Well, they're trying to fool we out. They want all them weak-eyed poor people run away from the coastline and leave it to them so that they could build their luxury palaces and so on and so forth. Is that what is happening? Right? Is that what is happening? I don't know. I'm just musing this morning, like I said. I'm just musing, just thinking about some things, as I like to see, outside of the box. Good? You know what else I find important or interesting? Not important, interesting. Because these are all facts of life. These are things which happen on a daily basis, except they don't always get reported. Rhonda would like the story that I'm about to share with you. I am sure Rhonda is going to love this story. It's coming from Kaichu News, and it says, jealous man, 70, stabs Spanish woman who refused to leave boyfriend for him. A 41-year Venezuelan woman identified as Maria Pinango remains hospitalized in a critical condition after a pensioner aged 70 stabbed her several times about her body on Friday last because she refused to leave her boyfriend and marry him. Recounting the horror to Kaichu News on Tuesday, the woman's daughter, Marquelis Pierre, sobbed as she said, quote, I went to see her just now and she's not getting any better, end quote. Pinango was stabbed in front of Denico House and stabbed up by the jealous pensioner Raymond Daniels with her own knife which she that she received a call at Friday, stabbed and is in a critical state at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. During the call, she was told that it was Daniels who attempted to kill her mother. Quote, "When he see men around my mother, he does get very jealous, even though they don't have nothing going on, and he know that my mom has her own partner," she said. On Friday last, Pinango left her home at Susdike, East Bank, Demerara, and traveled to Georgetown. There she spent some time chatting with a friend who vends at the Starbuck Market. The friend had reportedly warned her that Daniels was close by. Despite the warning, Pinango proceeded to her usual liming spot at Demico House. Eyewitnesses said that Daniels appeared intoxicated when he approached Pinango. He reportedly held onto her hand and threatened to kill her. The woman's daughter said that she was told that during the altercation, her mother opened her bag to reach for a cigarette, and Daniel saw the knife inside her purse and he grabbed it. Pinango reportedly tried to calm the suspect down by talking to him. He eventually let go of her hand, but as she was walking away, he stabbed her in the back. The woman turned around and Daniels allegedly stabbed her again 3 times in the region of her chest. She collapsed and fell to the ground as persons close by intervened to prevent Daniels from stabbing her again. An ambulance was called and the victim was rushed to the city hospital, while Daniels was promptly arrested by police at the scene. P recalled that when she arrived at the hospital, doctors told her that her mother had to undergo emergency surgery. The surgery was done, but Pinango's daughter told this publication that the woman is not showing signs of recovery. Quote, "When I went back at the hospital this morning, Tuesday, the doctor said that about 3 hours, Pinango started to panic for breath. And they had to put back the thing, that's the intubation tube, down her throat in order for her to breathe. They did an x-ray on her chest and noticed blood all over, internal bleeding," Pierre told Kaiju News. Asked why Daniels would want to harm her mother, Pierre responded that Daniels is not known to the family, but her mother told her that he is a friend who wanted to be more than just friends. Pierre said that her mother complained that Daniels would continuously ask her to marry him, although he knows she already has a boyfriend. The man had gotten so desperate that he tried to persuade her that if she marries him, Guyana will grant her full citizenship, but she turned down all his offers, which he presented to her. Many will call this a human interest story. I find it interesting, and so yes, in my mind it's a human interest story. That is why I'm sharing it with you. Right? Nigel Price, like you've been there by. Good. It raises a lot of issues, social and other issues. How does a 70-year-old pensioner afford a 40-year-old socialite? Let me call it that. I'm interpreting this story that this young lady is a socialite. She hangs out by Demico. The other day, I think somebody called this program. No. Somebody sent me a clip with a critic. Oh, Lord. With the critic, a woman called to complain that she was robbed by somebody who collected large sums of money from her under Demico, with a promise that they were going to be able to get her a plot of land. And she has not gotten the land, and she was basically duped, she was robbed. And I remember that response is, land of Demico. According to the host of that program, that chap, he said people don't buy land at Demico. When I go down by Demico, it's by Punani. Right? That's a repetition of that particular area. It is seen as it is a thoroughfare, public thoroughfare. It is seen as a place where a lot of immorality takes place, if we can call it that, if you want to judge people and so on. A lot of deals go down there, illegalities and so on. Right? And so here is this pensioner. I mean, yeah, you're in your twilight years, perhaps, if I can call him that. Right? In your twilight years, if I can call him that, because you basically are at 70, 72 and think you don't live your best life, you ain't got nothing else to do. So you're going to hang out by Demico with the boys. I understand a lot of ex-military people usually hang out there. Right? And so you're there, you're rubbing shoulders, you're intermingling and so on. That is what Demico is known for. It's a pickup spot. Right? Among other things. And so big boy, old boy, big uncle, whatever you want to call him, is out there and see this young thing. As they say, old Guyana don't interested in old leaf. And the story is saying that I guess he struck up a friendship with this young lady, who, according to her daughter, she had a friendship, a casual friendship, I would say, not intimate, according to her daughter, with this guy. But he wanted more. He wanted her to marry him. He has made several offers. Marry me, man. Young guy, your citizenship, marry me. And take care of you. And she kept refusing, and perhaps reminded him, or keeps reminding him, I have a boyfriend. I have a boyfriend. I have a boyfriend. I in my mind find it strange. I mean, there's psychopaths and sociopaths and so on. That if there is nothing more in this relationship than just, we get off mate, we drinking bodies, etc. This man will get into what the criminologists would describe perhaps as a jealous rage and stab this woman. Or perhaps, I wonder if he felt threatened when he saw the knife in the bag and he believes that she was reaching for it to cause him injury. Right? Those are some considerations in my mind. But what stood out to me is, here it is, the other day Ronald was telling us that the Spanish women are coming into this country and they're breaking up homes. But this particular young lady has to be exemplary. Because she keeps saying, I have a boyfriend. I'm not going to marry you. So she ain't interested in breaking up no home. The arguments out there that the Venezuelan women are coming and not only are they breaking up homes, they're stealing wealth. Because they're marrying these older folks and take their wealth. This story tells me that this young lady apparently didn't have that interest. It is the Guyanese man that apparently was pursuing her. And many of us can't accept failure. So he perhaps failed in his pursuits and it resulted in murder. Yeah, lots of lessons there. For me, you must know your league. 72, I'm fighting up with a 40-year-old. Big man want to buy bicycle for little by ride. Y'all hear you ever heard those terminologies? You know, they buying bicycle for little by right. The big woman told the man, even monkeys admire cars. We're saying that things are so bad in this country, but there was a pensioner willing to get married to a young lady. I assume perhaps the man is a man of worth. Otherwise, we marry and put her. And I've seen in this society, I've looked around this society, and every day, or ever so often, young men especially, would tell me, you know, if they come to Club Twilight and they see the beauty of the place, the ambience, and so the fact that it is located off the road and it's in a quiet spot. Wow! This is a bad place, eh, boy? This place would do good with some Spanish. This place would do... Hey, you can't do no wrong if you bring some Spanish here. And so there are indications in this society that our men, both Afro-Guyanese and Indo-Guyanese men, are fascinated by Venezuelan women. Hello. Alright, well, you never responded to me. A lot of Guyanese men are fascinated by Venezuelan women, and while many of our citizens are saying the Venezuelan women are coming to break up homes, I believe it is us Guyanese men who are surrendering our homes. It's we who got this fascination with, I don't know if it's the language or the color or the looks. But if I tell y'all one thing, y'all gonna doubt me. Up to now, I don't think I've seen any of them that is worth my sanity. Right? But I thought I'd share that story because it's interesting to see even at that age. I mean, Flash God, Uncle Flash say age is just a number thing and nothing to do with love. That might be true. But I think it also, if we pay attention to reality, we will know that there are limits as we get older. So old boy now is giving up his old age. Same time facing a murder charge, I guess, or attempted murder charge, because he couldn't watch a Spanish girl and leave her alone. Doc Hines is in the house this morning. Doc, morning, welcome to the program. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks. Good morning to everybody.
Welcome back. It's been a long absence.
Yes. Wednesdays of the mornings have become much a challenge this semester for me. You know, a little bit more responsibility here and there, but things should be back to normal now that the semester has come to an end.
Good. I'm happy that you could have made the time this morning, because we are, as a nation, at what some will consider a critical point. Today is the 29th of November. December 3rd, the Venezuelans are going to vote, or presumably going to vote at a referendum, which asks the question if the Maduro government should annex Essequibo. It's the day after the military, the U.S. security high officials have touched down in Guyana. I don't know if they stayed overnight, if they go, how long they're going to be here, and so on. And so it's a period of time when there's a lot of anxiety in the society. We're seeing all kinds of reports and movements of people. Earlier in the week, we recognized that the people in Region 1 area there, they were actually abandoning ship, I call it that. Close to the Venezuelan border, they were catching planes leaving the area in plane loads and so on because of this fear of what is likely or presumably going to happen on after the 3rd of December. I know you have been following these issues. What is your assessment of the entire situation? Guyana's response to the Venezuelan claim, the ratcheting up of our military presence in the borderline there and so on. And important enough, yesterday, I think, or the day before yesterday, we learned that the Brazilian army is in a state of readiness, a state of preparedness to deal with any fallouts, if I can call it that, following the Venezuelan referendum. What are your thoughts on that situation?
Well, we in Guyana are in a state of uncertainty. Unfortunately, we are not certain what is going to happen. And a lot of that has to do with where we are as a country. And I think the Venezuelan aggression has opened up for all to see the vulnerability of the Guyanese state, the vulnerability of our country. And we have to be very frank about that. And I think the Venezuelans are pushing that envelope and they're exposing us our vulnerability. Now, as a post-colonial country, a post-colonial state, a post-plantation state, we're always vulnerable. Because Guyana and the Caribbean countries, the English-speaking Caribbean countries came into being as independent states in a world that we did not create. We had nothing to do with the world. That world order was decided after the Second World War in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. And we started to become independent in the 1960s in that world. And so we have had to find our way in that international environment, that global environment. And in that sense, we are always vulnerable. But we add to our vulnerability by being very careless about our place in the rest of the world. You know, I mean, we have to make a distinction here between governments of the past and the present government. I don't want to get into PNC, PPP stuff because I don't want people to think that, you know, you're taking political side. But certainly, the governments of the first decades after independence were keenly aware of our Guyana's place in the region, the hemisphere, and the world. And that international politics and international relations were as important as domestic politics. And we have a government that has no idea about Guyana's place in the wider world, to use Clive Thomas's title of his column in Stabroek News, Guyana and the wider world. Have no clue and have no care. And so we are now in the clutches of international politics and international relations, where our sovereignty is being threatened. And we have a government that is walking around the place as if nothing is happening. We have a government that is more concerned about its political survival in Guyana rather than Guyana's survival as part of as a sovereign country. And let me repeat that. We have a government that is more concerned about its survival in Guyana than about maintaining Guyana's sovereignty. That is a fact. The other thing is that we have a government that lacks legitimacy inside of Guyana. And when a government lacks legitimacy inside of its country, it is unable to mobilize its country to stand against an external threat. This government could barely bring the opposition together with itself. The opposition is kneeling down and begging. We want to be part of a national offensive. But this government is so nearsighted, so clueless, so selfish, that even in this hour of uncertainty, it is treating the opposition as though they don't belong to Guyana. That the so-called defense of Guyana is their business. And the vice president is going and standing up in Essequibo and shouting across and telling the Venezuelans there'll be consequences. What consequences? If there are going to be consequences, it will have nothing to do with the Guyana government. The consequences for Venezuela, if they do anything reckless, will come from others, not from us. And so, you know, the vice president and others, they're basically talking nonsense. The legitimacy or the illegitimacy of this government is coming back now to bite us. People cuss us all the time. Y'all like talk about race, y'all like talking about this. The fact of the matter, if Venezuela tries to march across our borders, who will have to stand there and face them? It is members of the armed forces. And given the reality of Guyana, who make up the armed forces, they're of one ethnic group mainly. And when we say in Guyana that you must treat your ethnic groups equally, people poo-poo it. A set of Americans were here trying to say, look, we hear that you all are not treating one section of the population properly. The government treat them like nothing. And here we, the ethnic division of our countries come back to face us. Given what African Guyanese are going through in Guyana, it's a miracle. I'm saying that it's a miracle that African Guyanese are still loyal to this country. They're still loyal to Guyana, very loyal to Guyana. And I applaud them for that. Because you are loyal to a country that is not loyal to you as a group. And now the country has to depend on you to pick up arms in its defense. A country that does not give your people a livable wage. A country that does not feel that your people are worth. A country in which your people's homes are mowed down, in which your women are spat upon. And you have to go and defend that country. It's a miracle that African Guyanese are loyal to Guyana today.
But the government treats, that you raised the issue of loyalty, the government treats the military servicemen and women as though loyalty is for sale. We heard a recent pronouncement from Ali that those who have been deployed to the border regions and have house lot applications will be treated preferentially.
That is a form of governance. It's transactional. You feel that you can buy people. So you can buy folks. And now you're going to buy people's loyalty to go and fight on the front lines. What kind of nonsense is that? If you're building a nation, you're building a nation. You're not transacting the nation business. And so this Venezuelan thing has exposed Guyana's fragility as a nation state and as a community of people. That for me is the biggest learning lesson here.
Indeed, there are several propositions out there as to what led to this recent flare-up of this controversy. We have heard proposals that, listen, well, I've heard it from the horse's mouth as this. I've heard Jagyo spoke about him toying with the idea of giving Venezuela marine passage because the marine borders have not been settled, and he doesn't see any harm in allowing them a passage to the Atlantic, etc. There are arguments from the Venezuelan side that, listen, the PPP is allowing the U.S. to establish a military base in the Essequibo region. All of these point to, like you just said, transactional politics. Is it your opinion, or is it fair to say that it is this transactional approach of the PPP that has created this chaos, if I can call it that, in the Guyana-Venezuela relations in terms of the border controversy? Because there's also an argument out there that, listen, Jagyo didn't only think about it, but he actually made an agreement with Maduro, and the Granger administration rubbished that agreement, and that is why they ended up having to take this matter to court. Do you know if there's any truth to any of these things?
No, I don't know whether there is any truth to anything of this, but what I do know is that the PPP as an organization has never shown the kind of national commitment to Guyana as a sovereign state and an idea. The PPP has played games with Guyana's sovereignty. It has played games with its commitment to Guyana as a national community. Going back to Dr. Jagan's now famous letter in 1951, where he offered to deliver Guyana and the English-speaking Caribbean to the Communist International. His refusal, Dr. Jagan, PPP, refusal to take Guyana into the British West Indies Federation in 1958 to 1962. Its treatment of CARICOM from a partisan standpoint rather than as an idea that could lead to development of our region. It said that CARICOM was a black boys club, and it had no time for CARICOM. It toyed with the idea of setting up a sub-federation with Suriname, Guyana, and Trinidad when Indian Guyanese governments were in charge. The track record of the PPP in terms of its loyalty and commitment to Guyana as a civilization is suspect. And so it is no accident that at a time when we are challenged more than we have ever been since the resurfacing of this issue in 1962, at a time when we are challenged, the government doesn't know what to do, because the party that forms the government has not shown any kind of persistent commitment to the defense of Guyana as a part of a civilization, part of a Caribbean civilization. And so therefore we are found wanting. I am saying again, the fact that the government lacks legitimacy inside of Guyana is a liability when you come to face the aggression from outside. And Maduro is saying that. He said, look, in Guyana, their own people are opposing them. So the fact that we have an installed government has now come back to bite us. Because Maduro is pointing to this installed government as one of the reasons for their aggression. Look, look, we have found oil. And I've been critical of the previous government for its lackadaisical way in which it treated our transition into a petrol state. I've been critical of them because I think if they had understood the importance of what finding oil means for Guyana, they would still have been in power, and it would have been better for the coalition to be in power at this time when we are facing Venezuelan aggression than for the PPP. Whatever you say about the parties that made up the coalition, the PNC, the WPA, the FC, is they have more of a commitment to Guyana than the PPP. And I would have preferred them in power today as we face this aggression. But let's move on from that. This government is presiding over the flow of oil. The oil started to flow after they came to power. And they're more interested in how that oil is going to lead to their remaining in power and monopolizing power in Guyana, rather than taking into consideration that having found oil with a neighbor that is claiming 2/3 of your territory, it means international relations as it relates to Guyana will undergo change. There is no way Venezuela would have sat down quietly as Guyana finds that amount of oil and correctly inviting investors to come here and to help in exploiting our oil resources. There is no way Venezuela is going to sit down while all of that is happening on its doorstep. I'm not saying that Venezuela is right. I'm just saying realistically to expect that Venezuela, in this era of Guyana's rise to a petrol state, Guyana's visibility in the global community because of its oil, Guyana's attraction to large companies from Europe and the United States and China, etc., that all of that is going to happen and Venezuela is going to be quiet. I'm saying that as a government, we should have anticipated that Venezuela would have reacted at some point. And our policy, our foreign policy, should have anticipated that. And our policy vis-a-vis oil and gas should have taken that into consideration. When you are vulnerable and bullies are, coming down on you, you don't act to give the bullies more excuse to be aggressive towards you. You have to be deft in terms of your foreign policy and your economic policy. And I have to say the way in which we have gone about managing our oil industry really has played into the Venezuelan hands. The Venezuelans are now using the way in which we have managed our oil industry. Our recent public auction has given the Venezuelans the excuse to say we are bringing Americans to set up a base in Venezuela. One may say, but that's our business. But yes, it's our business, but we are a vulnerable state. And we have to conduct our business taking into consideration our vulnerability. We don't want to have to depend on the United States. You mentioned that the U.S. High Command was here, or members of the U.S. Military High Command. We don't want to depend on the Americans and the Brazilians to defend us. Because if they defend us, they're not going to defend us for nothing. They will want something. And so it is always in our best interest to keep Venezuela at bay. And neither our foreign policy nor our domestic policy has been geared in keeping Venezuela at bay. And so we find ourselves now having to depend, first of all, on a military that cannot stand up to the Venezuelans. We have treated our military like we are more interested in sending our soldiers to quell a non-existent rebellion in West Babis, rather than equipping our soldiers to at least serve as a deterrent to the Venezuelans. We didn't do that. We had our soldiers parading in West Babis, putting down what we call a rebellion, rather than defending our territorial integrity and equipping them. And not recognizing the relationship between ethnicity and national defense. We are busy giving money to people in various sectors of the economy, fishermen and sugar workers and all of that, and not recognizing that we are in a permanent war with a neighbor. And it means that the men in uniform and women in uniform have to be an integral part of our strategic thinking. Oh no, not this government. All they want to do is to use the oil money to keep themselves in power and to get rich. And there we are now, in pocketry. And we have to be looking to see if America will come and help us and this body and that.
But that arrangement, or apparent arrangement, which it seems as though we're heading down the road to have America, Big Brother, protect Guyana, many would argue it's fraught with danger. What are some of the social and economic consequences of the Americans protecting Guyana from Venezuela?
Well, I don't want to get into that now. I just said it, that if you defend me today, you want something tomorrow. And I don't want to get into speculating what the Americans will want and so on, because invariably we're at a point where, the Venezuelans are going to be crucial to helping us to deter Venezuela.
The Americans will be crucial.
The Americans will be crucial.
The WPA just last week issued a press statement and identified a number of issues with the approach to this situation. Also made some recommendations. I saw, was it Randy Prasad this week who responded to those recommendations, and basically was appearing to teach the WPA foreign relations, and saying that the calls that WPA has made, for example, for a joint approach to this situation is not warranted?
No, he was talking about our call for a referendum, and to try to teach us the difference between international politics and international relations. Those chaps are useless, and I wouldn't spend time on it, except to say that any fool, but let me take that back, because he is a fool. He's been very foolish in his response. But any sensible person who takes that, what does Guyana have going for it? We don't have a strong military. So we are not going to be able to beat back Venezuelan militarily. What we do have is a national community that we can use, that we can mobilize as a deterrence. The Cubans, for example, are never going to be able to stand up to the Americans militarily. But what the Castros have done for 60 years and more was always when there was a threat of invasion by the Americans to mobilize the Cuban people on the streets. We know the story of Fidel standing in the square next to the American embassy there and bringing millions, tens of thousands of Cubans to that square and Fidel talking for 2-3 hours as a means of mobilizing the national community against this threat. Our call for a referendum had nothing to do with international relations or anything. We call for a referendum as a means of mobilizing our people. And that jackass trying to play bright, ignore that and telling us about referendum and international relations. We made the call for a referendum as a means of mobilizing our people. Because that's all we have going for us. We don't have an army. All we have are our people. And our people are not mobilized. And we feel that one of the ways to mobilize it is called a referendum affirming our sovereignty. And I am telling you, the turnout for such a referendum will be higher than an election, or as high as an election, if we do it well. So, it's about politics. And he's going off on international relations as, you know, those are, you know, political masturbators, rather than understanding politics. Venezuelans are being mobilized this week. They're going out to vote in a referendum. That referendum is going to have no binding on international relations. That referendum is meant to mobilize Venezuelans. And we are saying, if we call a referendum, to do the same thing to mobilize our people. Not that if we call a referendum, it will have some binding, you know, on international relations. No. It is a form of mobilizing our people at home and abroad. You know, I was, you know, in company with some St. Lucians, you know, over the past week in Washington, D.C. And they were telling me that their church, their Catholic church in St. Lucia, prayed for Guyana sovereignty this past Sunday. So people, the ordinary people in the Caribbean are rooting for us. I don't know about the governments, but the ordinary people, I'm told, are rooting for us. I have participated in the last 2 weeks, in about 5 or 6 programs across the Caribbean talking about the Venezuelan issue. I am doing two interviews for radio stations in the United States later on today. So we are doing our work in trying to sensitize people abroad. But inside of Guyana is where we have to mobilize people. Who are better to mobilize African Guyanese to stand in defense of our sovereignty than their representatives? Yet you're turning them away from schools. This government is clueless and willfully on Guyana, willfully against the best interests of our country.
Not only are they turning away representatives or people who want to go into the schools to educate the youngsters about this situation, but we have argued that the government has not done enough, like you rightly said, to mobilize Guyanese around this issue. Instead of paying attention to the local populace, I see they're now going to the diaspora. Starting yesterday or sometime in this week, they've started what they call a diaspora outreach to Washington, etc., to tell Guyanese what is happening with this dispute, this controversy. Irfan Ali, and I understand Jack Dio was soon to follow him, left the country for Dubai a day or two ago. Unprecedented behavior?
That they have to go about their business. They're in government. I don't think. But I thought you were going to ask me about their outreach. What they're doing diaspora outreach for? We are already doing that. The diaspora don't need them to go and tell them about Venezuela. Right now you're doing that. There are lots of diaspora people on this program. And when you finish, lots of diaspora people on Mr. Duncan's program, and later on you have persons like myself and Mark Bishop and others. We are doing our work in mobilizing the diaspora. Diaspora don't need them to mobilize them. As I said, I am doing 2 programs later on today. One, both of them in Washington, D.C., taping them for broadcast later on. And so we are doing our work in terms of mobilizing. I am up and down the Caribbean on radio programs and so on. And others are doing that. So we don't need the government to sensitize the diaspora. We don't need that. We need the government to join with the opposition at home in standing up against the bully. But no, the government itself is behaving like a bully inside of Guyana. Rather than joining with the representatives of the other section of the population to stand up against Venezuela.
Following the referendum on the 3rd, would Ghana, any which way, return to a state of normalcy?
Guyana was not in a state of normalcy before. It's not in a state of normalcy now, and it would not be in a state of normalcy after. I repeat, you do not find the amount of oil that we have found with a neighbor next door that has been claiming 2/3 of your territory for the last 60 years and expect your country to be a normal place. Venezuela, as the WPS said in our program, is an existential threat. And even if the ICJ, even when the ICJ rules in Guyana's favor, the issue will not go away because the Venezuelans have said they do not recognize it. And so we have to be constantly on alert. Venezuela has to be treated as a permanent threat to Guyana. It is not going to go away.
And so how does Guyana as a state, I don't want to say respond to that permanent threat, but what would be the best practices if I were to ask that?
Well, I don't want to get into a lecture on best practice, except to say that when you're formulating foreign policy, when you're formulating domestic policy, especially as it relates to your source of wealth, meaning oil and gas, you have to take Venezuela into consideration, the Venezuela threat into consideration.
Thank you.
And countries have lived with border threat, all their lives. You just have, You look at Belize. Belize has an ongoing problem with Guatemala. And that is why Belize made that statement against what's happening in Gaza. Because Belize understands its own vulnerability. Our government, doesn't care. I think they understand, but they don't care. Those people see Guyana as a place where they can make money, the PPP government. That's what they're encouraging. Come to Guyana and make money. Come to Guyana and make money. Guyana is a milking cow, not a civilization to defend. That is what the PPP has been encouraging. So whether Venezuela takes 2/3 for the PPP, the 1/3 that left, it is only a cut in the money that they're likely to get. And they would rather have 1/3 of what is now Guyana as a milking cow than nothing at all. That is the attitude they're showing us.
Thank you. It's now 8 hours 27. You're tuned to the Guyanese Morning Time. We're chatting with Dr. Hinds on the issues, current issues, more specifically the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy and the government's response. I see the leader of the opposition recently said, listen, we're no longer going to support the government and their approach to this situation. Like you said, the opposition has been on their knees begging to be part of this this national response. And I've had meetings with the government. We've seen, following those meetings, the government failed to follow up, failed to respect the agreements made. And the leader of the opposition eventually saying, we're tired, we can't do this anymore. We're not going to do this anymore. How then do we fashion this national response that is necessary to deal with this situation?
There is going to be no national response. So long as the PPP is in office, there will not be a national response. And we have been saying that over and over to Guyana. Over and over to Guyana. We do not have a national community. And that is why we are talking about shared governance. Because we cannot depend on the PPP to govern in a national way. And when the PNC comes to power, the PPP and its supporters will not allow them to govern in a national way. That is the reality of Guyana. All this one people, one nation, one destiny, one Guyana, those things are aspirations. We are not a nation. In terms of a common worldview, a common understanding of how we want Guyana to move forward, we don't have consensus on those things. We don't. And I want to say to this audience here, because sometimes black people think that they have to be more patriotic than anybody else. We do not have a national communities. It's been shown right now, even in a time of war. During the Second World War, the British set up a war cabinet, including the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. Why? Because they had a national commitment and a national sense of who they were. Even the Israelis have a so-called war cabinet, although they're not fighting a war. They're beating up people because, they're a nation state. The Palestinians are not a nation state. But even they have a war cabinet. Where is our war cabinet? We will not have one because we are not a united nation. We are two nations, and maybe three, because the Amerindians are beginning to see their own destiny separately.
One of the PPP representatives tells us that there is a national response. Citizens are responding favorably by following instructions. I'm saying that by following instructions to the police to get flags and shout 3 times, Guyanese view and Guyanese view, make videos and send them to their commanders. Teachers have been told that they must wear national colors to school. And so
No.
Are you planning your next visit to Oil Ridge, Guyana, South America? Well, let's accommodate you at Varon's Cheerful Country Manor. With free secured on-premises parking, our beautiful vacation air-conditioned home offers 3 beds, 2 bathrooms, a spacious kitchen, and all modern amenities. Located at Tushen, on the eastern bank of the mighty Essequibo and the western coast of Demerara, Varon's Cheerful Country Manor is just a stone throw from the ocean. Make that reservation now on Airbnb and VRBO. For contact, call us on 516-770-3053 or 592-685-3521. Make Varon's Cheerful Country Manor your home away from home.
yeah, so the lines remain open. 622-5933 is the number to call.
Yes, karaoke time again at Club Twilight. This and every Friday, come on down. Enjoy the good vibes with Singer Man, One Man Band, and Kams Audio. Admission is free. Yes, listen every Friday night. It's karaoke time. Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, BUXTON North. Musical accompaniment by Singer Man, One Man Band, and Popular Stereo Sounds, Popular DJ, Kams Audio. It's gonna be a movie, man.
I'm a Jamaican boy who's born and raised. Nowadays I'm lost between 2 shores. LA's fine, but it ain't home. New York's home, but it ain't mine no more.
I love a sad day.
Welcome back. It's Wednesday. It's 26 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour, and we're chatting with Dr. HINDS about the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. Call it live.
Yeah, good morning. Now with this thing, we can now see when Major Hype spoke about Guyana not being in the Caribbean, lots of people were against. When we, just after that, this thing with Venezuela, well, Venezuela they always about, but it came more vibrant now. And when we thought that the Caribbean, who we want to say we are a part of, when we run to them for assistance, most of them turned their backs on us, Barbados, all around. Well, Rowley had a little panic because Barrett cuss you. And if somebody cuss me out and come to me for help in time of need, I telling you, I am Moses. I ain't gonna give the body no help. So I stand with Rowley for not stretching out the helping hand. Anyway, who is trying to help us? Brazil, South America, and America. Now people are talking about what America wants is to put up some base. I believe this place, Macau, as a military base. I don't know the full history. Dr. Hines and others who know Macau in the Essequibo River, I think it's a part of the main, close to Bartica. Got some military things there. I've never gone there, but I've heard of it. Now you could remember early when this could buy the same cook food and pies now, black man. Barrett said that the black people gonna rape the military officers would rape and kill out the people, them, the girl, children. Now the same black man what the school advisor was to get pies now must stand and risk their lives to represent these same people. And there is where people like me and many others like myself are standing up with the military, not to put itself at bay, because many of us going out to face the rhetoric, the guns and everything, the song Roger Whittaker, the guns on fire as we sail into port will be lots of African children. So that is another way you're diminishing the Africans in the country. And the thing is, who caused this new onslaught with Venezuela? Fair and square. It is Barra Jack Blue. Now I want people, the Kuli people left, to watch to see that at this juncture, when we are facing the inevitable, should a war start, he and his friend in front Ali and all the top brass of the PPP have left this country and gone to shores. Like what the people say, when Barra they done sell out the country, they're going to pack up and go to Dubai where they got the money. It is the fact. All of them running out to get out from what may happen. And with all the PNC or APNU got division in the ranks, who is standing up as a leader in this time? You see Aubrey Norton, who tried all his best to stretch across the aisle in all the things and has been totally been rejected, openly rejected. He could have gone to the States and look, I'm going to need little Thanksgiving turkey because things didn't look good. But Norton is around as the opposition leader, as the father. Because if all of them run and things come to things, he will have to take it on his shoulders to stand up for the citizenry in Guyana. And I want people, as you look at this, what is going on here, at this time, when another election comes, let me see where your votes will be going. We need leaders that in the face of any atrocity, whether it's Venezuela, whatever, people must be there to stand with you. If you got a house and you got problem, that I hear people talk about many men now they live in the house and protected and single parents. Many of the single parents are mainly mothers. But there people talk, a lot of them would say, look what they giving the mother. Look, Mother's Day. That is how we fall now with Norton. You're running on left feet. People gonna cause tell you all kind of things. But he's there, along with people like you, Dr. Hines and Kadaki. These are the people who they install government, the members who jumped for joy when they took this country. Let them see who is standing with them, who is being the father to the nation as war looms. And I pray that it does not turn to war. And with all we may talk about America coming into Guyana at this time, it may serve for good, because when America is in Guyana, all those who are being wanted by America for all the different crimes that they have committed, had committed, and intend to commit, you wouldn't have to get a treaty of extradition because of their hair, and they're going to pick you up. So it may be a blessing in disguise that America is coming in on the war, because it could come in on the war and they're going to back us into a war. So let them festival in Dubai as we, the citizenry, along with people like you, Adaki, Dr. Hines, Aubrey Norton, and Makalial.
Point made.
We must stand in unity and fight what we don't want to happen. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your call, your contribution. Our clients want to respond to anything here?
No.
Good. So the lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Remember, tomorrow, Woody Meyer is coming to Buxton. He's visiting Buxton. And he's going to be at Club Twilight. He's coming here. We're hosting him for lunch. And so those of you who would like to rub shoulders, who would like to have autographs and photographs and discourses and so on, you're free to come down about 11 o'clock. They're likely to be here. We're going to have a short cultural presentation also. So come on down, have some fun. I will see if Kams TV will be in a position to bring the live happenings to you. But don't count on it. Caller, thank you for holding your life.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Hines. Good morning, Dr. Hines. Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam, and the listening public. I want to recap that Ali and Jagdeo said about 2 months ago or 12 weeks ago, they're not going to speak with the opposition. And over the past 3 years, Bharat Jagdeo brought in Bangladeshi, Indians, a couple Trinidadians to prop up his support in Guyana. And he turned to the same Venezuelans and prop up his support. Now, I think it's imperative that Aubrey Norton to stay on the sideline and go to Venezuela and encourage 50,000 Venezuelans to come to Guyana. I mean, be controversial. Because what is in it for the Afro-Guyanese? Nothing. Win, lose, or draw, we will remain the same. And I cannot see an election going forward now. AP and new AFC will get back into office because the system is rigged. It's opportunity. It's rigged in favor of the governing party, led by Baby Satan, Alin Landalal, Gil Teixeira, Shamat Inland Revenue, and the other snake we named him Mason Nadir. He's a snake. Okay? Thank you, listening public, and have a good day.
Thank you for your call. We have a voice note.
Good morning, Gadaki, Dr. Hines, and listeners. Once again, I said it several times on this program, it's only one thing could get PPP out from there is force. They ain't got no other method, none that exists.
Thank you for your voice note. The lines remain open. Any response to the two callers?
No. The callers have expressed themselves, and we have to allow them to do so.
Very well. It's 16 minutes. I'm getting backward. It's 60 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. On Friday, the Creole Friday continues. This Friday menu, we're going double this week. We're going to be doing for you some brown sugar Edo stew, stew fish, right? Stew fish with Edo and in the brown sauce there. So you can place your order on that, and also you're going to get some cook up. We're doing some cook up with baked fish. Place your order early. It's Wednesday already. And so if you don't order fast enough, you're going to get shut out like last week from the shine rice and grilled fish. Good. I hear I see Dr. Hines eyes rolling up there. He's like saying, "But I miss out all this good food. This when last year the shine rice now."
I cook shine rice quite regularly.
as somebody said the other day, we used to consider these struggle food. They're now delicacies. Call it life.
Good morning, Kagaki. Good morning, Dr. Hines and the listening audience. I am kind of disheveled with what is going on in that country with respect to the current racist PPP regime. Jagdeo means no good for Guyana, and concomitantly Ali himself. I do not care what Jagdeo has over Ali. Ali is a grown man with a wife and 2 kids. And if he has Guyana at heart, he wouldn't follow somebody who cares nothing about Guyana. Ali's fallen Jagdeo. So they're born of a feather. Now, the last caller who spoke said it in the way I am going to say it myself. No amount of talking, no amount of picket, which when it does happen, seems to be not so strong, will remove this administration. You've got to take very forceful and damaging action. I've been saying this from the time your show began. Those massive structures in Guyana, they are owned by one kind and one type of people, the Indians. They own everything. A few of them crumble down, and you can see miles of flatlands. Will force Jagdeo, will force Anil, will force Nadir the Speaker, will force Gail Teixeira and others, external forces, to make a mediation quickly. Because remember, the oil investment is there. That could also be affected. Somebody can sacrifice themselves and go and do things that would interfere with that as well. Because if it's only one of the people gaining from this massive oil fight, and the others just sit down there and getting crumbs, if at all, it makes no sense. If all of us can get, a handful shouldn't. And I will concur with the last speaker. Destroy. So none of us will get. So all of us have to come together and hold a sensible head to decide the way forward. This nonsense has got to stop. Jagdeo cares nothing about Guyana and black people. Cares nothing whatsoever. He's going to do all what he can do to make them uncomfortable. And Nadir in the house there, who takes nothing from them to put on the floor for a vote, or whatever the case may be, he is equally culpable. The court system in general, look, Guyana is a mess. This I sometimes wonder, I'm a Guyanese at heart, but it is hard for me to think of returning to Guyana and make a contribution if I'm a retiree. It is so dreadful to think about doing things for Guyana right now. When you have a handful of people who were closeted Indians, they were in the closet. When the times were good, they never had anything good to say. But now that they're in charge of the state machinery, they're doing all what they can to keep black people under their feet, stampled, trampled, and baffled. Look, I really don't want to say anything more, but I would just wish that things can take the stand that I have said or have been saying for quite a while. But after you and Dr. Price have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Carl. Voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. The PPP doesn't, IRP, they're not interested in Guyana and the Guyanese welfare. All they're interested is in the natural resources and to enrich themselves. They were installed, America installed them, that's all.
Thank you for that voice note. Dr. Hines, 10 minutes to the 9
Well,
o'clock hour.
you know, the people are saying it, you know, and I know they're listening to these programs, so, you know, they may not be listening directly, but they have people who are assigned to listen to these programs, and I hope that let them hear what people are thinking. You push people. When you behave in that way, when you have power, you push people to these radical positions. And you can shout and say Kadaki Amsterdam and Ben Shop and Rickford Bork and Sherrod Duncan and others are reffing up people. Well, if you listen to these programs, if you listen to us, we're not reffing anybody up. People are reffed up. And they're not reffed up because of us. They're reffed up because of the way the PPP is governing. You know, and you know, again, this Venezuelan thing has shown that those people are just interested in political power as a means of enriching themselves. Guyana, for the PPP, is a place to make money, not a place to live as decent human beings.
Caller, thank you for holding your life.
Yes, good morning to you. Good morning to Mr. David and to all my black brothers and sisters in Guyana. Help is on the way, just a matter of time. Mr. David, I text this morning and asked Mr. Amsterdam, is Mr. David give up the old for the new? But thank God you are here today. And I enjoy your message last night. It was powerful. It was well. Not good, it was well. To you, my sister Rhonda, thank you to join with Uncle Flash that Arby Narton must and will be the next president of Guyana. To you, Mr. David, if you disagree with me, let me know. And if you disagree, still let me know. Because I started to lobby about 2 months now that Mr. Amsterdam from WPA must be the next Prime Minister of Guyana. Because he already proved himself he could take care of that office. He could do a better job than some ex-prime minister. I also said that Mr. Paul Slow is qualified to be Minister of Home Affairs because of the situation in the police department. We don't have a democratic police department. We don't have one who represents the Constitution. It is driven away in the sea, and only Paul Slow could bring it back to land. You know, I believe those three, Mr. Norton, Mr. Amsterdam, and Paul Slow, they will do a better job. They will do their best for all Guyanese, and Guyanese have to do the rest by obey the law and do the right things. We must give these brothers them a chance. Let me give them a chance to fail, because I know they will not fail. Let me share this here, my own experience before I leave. 1990, I went to get a job with a high school diploma, and the 6 person in front of me, they have college degree because we was in the line waiting for the door open. So we share our little experience of qualification. And the 6 of them was told to leave the resume at the front desk. When his Uncle Flash turned, and I went in the office, I gave her my resume. She said, take it out and read it. She said, Mr. Flash, why must I give you the job? I said, please give me a chance to fail. She said, you just have the job. She said, sit here and wait. And she go back out, and she said, look, I already find someone to pick up this slack. Leave your resume. I will call you, I'll something out. When she returned back, I love to ask questions. I said, why you give me The judge said, because of your answer, I know you will not fail yourself, you will not fail me, and you will not fail my boss. Let us trust and verify today. They don't have to get 20 scholarship, but common sense. But what gave me the job is because of my working experience. So let us give these three brothers their chance. I want you to comment over this. Let me get out the phone till tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your call.
I unreservedly support your idea, Uncle Flash. I'm with you.
So there's one other voice note I'll play, and then Dr. Hines will wrap up for us. There's some days I can go the extra mile, there are others when I just have to cut and run like Jack Dion, Irfan gone to Dubai. What a shameful bunch. Where is this voice note? 366 Voice note here.
Morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Since this installed government take office in 2020 via dead man votes, what have they done to increase the capability of the Guyana Defense Force? Not a thing. Instead, Ali getting the soldier cleaning drains and stuff like that. Which other country, when you have such an oil economy in your country and you have a border controversy, whether things are calm or not, you have to keep the army on intact. It not get them cleaning drains and every December month you say, but you're giving them double raise the people pay. That will encourage more people to join the army. But no, all the PPP looking for is votes. That's why they run to Parliament the other day and change the constitution that make it easy for the people to get a birth certificate. So you could ban in Venezuela and you could come and say, hey, I ban in BUXTON, I ban in Barbados, and you get birth certificate so you could vote for them. And the same Venezuelan who don't want to vote for them is the same Venezuelan going to turn around and start kill Guyanese if anything should go wrong. I'm not calling for anything to any violence or anything, but it's the reality. You give them citizenship via birth certificate, and they never born in Guyana. That is not right. And Arnold and all of them, that is why they can't. I don't listen to what them have to say, because them is real Judas. There was that Sharon Das. Because in the name of vote, you're gonna give people change a law to give people citizenship illegally, or to illegalize the way of getting the citizenship just to get a vote. And these same people is trying to take part of our land. Oh my God.
Thank you for that voice note. I'm receiving reports of the soldiers complaining at base camp and Guyana and GDF in total that they are now being asked to go to the borders backups. Remember, there was an earlier deployment of soldiers to the border region or regions, and so others are being asked to go and join them now. So they're complaining that they too want land. They want house lots too. Apart from that, they're complaining that the government has recently acquired some weapons, firearms that they don't know to use. Right? So we're sending our people, quote unquote, perhaps into battle, ill prepared for such battle. I said earlier in the week when I think Coffee was saying the government should have already invested in some B-2 bombers and etc. etc. I said you have to invest in the human capital. Until we invest in our human capital and invest appropriately, not only in training but also remuneration and so on, we are not making sense. So we can buy the best weaponry, but we will not be able to defend ourselves because they will just be white elephants. Nobody will know to use them, for example, right? Or nobody will be willing to use them. Who wants to go to the border to raise their life for $500 a month? I assume a lot of soldiers are now absent without leave, especially since they were told that they can't go, they can't get leave, they can't leave the country, they're currently in line. But what they call it, commander-in-chief, is out of the country in Dubai. I rather suspect having a good time. Dr. Hines, it's 9 o'clock. Kindly wrap up.
Well, yes, it's good to be back after a few weeks off. Hopefully, this can be get back to our regular schedule. I'll be on tonight on Politics 101. I think later on Mark Benshop, who's been trying to get me onto the program for a long time, and I haven't been able to do it. It's been a busy semester, and sometimes, one has to balance these things. But I'm back now on Wednesday mornings. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Are you planning your next visit to Orange, Guyana, South America? Well, let's accommodate you at Varon's Cheerful Country Manor. With free secured on-premises parking, our beautiful vacation air-conditioned home offers 3 beds, 2 bathrooms, a spacious kitchen, and all modern amenities. Located at Tushen, on the eastern bank of the mighty Essequibo and the western coast of Demerara, Varon's Cheerful Country Manor is just a stone throw from the ocean. Make that reservation now on Airbnb and VRBO. For contact, call us on 516-770-3053 or 592-685-3521. Make Varon's Cheerful Country Manor your home away from home. Are you planning?
Looking for a unique gift idea for the holidays? Then come down to Makeda's at 146 Albert Street. We have gift ideas for everyone, from festive African fabric, accessories, African-inspired outfits, unique African-inspired toys, books, African house decor, and so much more. Make this holiday special with a gift from Makeda's, where you can celebrate the African way.